The Galactic Council chamber was never silent. Thousands of voices from hundreds of species clashed together in arguments, bargains, and threats. The Core World Senate, a sprawling coliseum of power, always buzzed with the certainty that nothing escaped its control. Every empire's fleets, every technology, every weapon, they believed all was catalogued, monitored, balanced. And then humanity was called to speak. The humans were young by galactic standards, barely a century into interstellar travel. Their seat in the council was tolerated rather than respected. They were small, fragile things, bones that broke easily, lives measured in decades instead of centuries. No one feared them. No one expected them to last long. When the Zarathi Dominion, one of the oldest and most brutal war empires, demanded Earth's submission, the council hardly blinked. The Zarathi had been expanding again, crushing border worlds, enslaving species too weak to resist. Their warlord stood tall in the chamber, his scaled armor gleaming, his voice a booming snarl. "Earth is unworthy of independence," he declared, eyes glinting with hunger. "Their colonies shall kneel, their fleets disband. The Dominion claims them." The hall erupted in murmurs. It was obvious the humans would beg for protection, perhaps appeal for mercy. That was the natural order of things. Weak species sought guardians, and the council, through negotiation, decided who received them. But the humans did not beg. Their ambassador, a short woman in a dark suit, simply adjusted her collar and looked across the chamber at the towering Zarathi warlord. Her voice carried no fear, only steady calm. "You claim us weak," she said. "You claim us unready. But you have seen only what we allowed you to see." The chamber laughed. Senators from ancient empires shook their heads. The Dominion's warlord bared his teeth in cruel amusement. And then she tapped her console. The chamber's vast central hollow projector flickered to life. The image that appeared silenced the laughter instantly. In the void of space, something massive drifted into view. A ship, but unlike any ship known to the Council. Its hull was jagged, angular, plated in black alloys that swallowed starlight. Its silhouette was wrong, designed not for beauty or intimidation but for war. Along its spine, immense rail cannons glowed faintly. Smaller shapes clustered around it, escort craft that shimmered in and out of cloak. It was not alone. Dozens followed. Gasps rippled through the chamber as the feed widened to reveal an entire fleet emerging from the darkness. They moved in perfect silence, an armada hidden from every galactic sensor, every archive. The ambassador spoke again, her words soft but cutting through the stunned silence like blades. "We built them in the shadows of your arrogance. You thought us too young, too fragile. You laughed while we prepared. We knew one day someone would come for us, and so we built the Black Fleet." Accusations erupted. Voices shouted over one another, treachery, deceit, treaty violation. Some claimed the feed was a fabrication, an illusion. But then the next feed played. Live footage. A Zarathi cruiser patrol on the edge of human space. The Dominion ships were massive, bristling with weapons. They moved with arrogant grace, secure in their supremacy. Then, out of the black, a human warship decloaked. Its weapons lit the void. In a single devastating volley, it cut the Zarathi cruiser in half. Shields crumpled like paper, hull split, and the wreck drifted in silence. The broadcast ended there. The chamber erupted in chaos. The Dominion warlord roared with fury, demanding vengeance, declaring humanity guilty of deceit and murder. The council shouted for sanctions, for investigation. But beneath the noise was something far deeper, fear. Because what they had seen was impossible. No new species could hide fleets of that size. No fledgling empire could develop weapons that bypassed shields so cleanly. No one could cloak entire armadas without detection. Humanity had done all of it and done it without anyone knowing. The ambassador stood calmly as the chamber boiled over. Then she said the words that would echo across the galaxy for centuries. "The war you threaten has already begun. Do not mistake us again. Humanity does not kneel." Outside the chamber, far above the core world skies, space shifted. Sensors screamed as signatures appeared where none had been before. Council defense fleets scrambled in panic as ships, human ships, phased into existence. Sleek black destroyers. Vast carriers that eclipsed moons. Dreadnoughts bristling with weapons unknown to galactic science. The Black Fleet had not just been revealed, it had come to the Council's very doorstep. Panic swept through the chamber. Some begged for negotiation, others for immediate retaliation. The Dominion warlord howled for blood. But before any order could be given, the humans moved. The Black Fleet powered weapons not at the Council's fleets, but at the Dominion reinforcements that had gathered outside the system. In less than an hour the Dominion's pride, their elite vanguard, was gone. Ship after ship shattered, reduced to wreckage. Plasma lances sliced through armor, rail cannons tore through shields, and stealth bombers crippled entire squadrons without ever being seen. The Council watched the feat in horrified silence. One of their oldest, most feared empires was being dismantled in real time, and the humans did it as though they had been born for this war. The Dominion's warlord slumped to his knees, trembling with fury and disbelief. The ambassador's final words echoed through the chamber. "You thought us prey. But we are predators who learned to hide our claws until the day they were needed. That day has come." And so it was that the war began. Not with treaties or speeches, not with a declaration or a vote, but with the silent ignition of engines, and the roar of humanity's hidden warships cutting through the void like executioners in the dark. The galaxy would never again see humanity as weak. They had shown their true face, and the stars themselves trembled. For centuries the Galactic Council had prided itself on control. Every empire's fleet was counted, every weapon registered, every threat monitored. The galaxy was vast, but under the Council's gaze, nothing truly escaped notice. Or so they believed. Then came the humans. A young race from a small spiral arm, admitted into the Council only 78 years ago. They were clever, yes. Quick to adapt, yes. But fragile. Short-lived. And most importantly, powerless. Their fleets were a joke, modest patrol vessels and cargo escorts. Their colonies were few and scattered. They made noise about independence and self-determination, but no one took them seriously. Until the border crisis began. It started with a line on a map, a sliver of space between the Terran colonies and the ancient empire of Varkun. The Varkun claimed the sector belonged to them, since before humanity had language. The humans protested, citing surveys and colonial charters. The Council, as always, convened to mediate. Everyone assumed the outcome was predetermined. The Varkun would win the dispute. Humanity would grumble, maybe protest, but eventually accept the Council's ruling. After all, that was how it had always gone. The day of the verdict came. The Council chamber, an immense ringed amphitheater orbiting the core world, was filled with delegates. Massive hollow projectors displayed star charts. Legal arguments were read, precedents quoted, historical claims recited. And then the ruling. The sector in question is hereby awarded to the Varkun Dominion. Human colonies in the area will be dismantled or surrendered within one cycle. There was polite applause from some sectors. The Varkun delegation stood tall, smug. The human ambassador, Ambassador Lin, simply remained seated. The Speaker of the Council cleared his throat. "Ambassador Lin, does your delegation accept the ruling?" Lin stood, composed. But there was a tension in the air now, subtle and strange. "We do not," she said. Gasps rippled. No one denied a council ruling. "Ambassador," the speaker said, "you are reminded that all members are bound by." Lin interrupted. "Yes, I am aware. But you see, the council's decision is based on the assumption that we are incapable of enforcing our own borders. That assumption is outdated." Before the speaker could respond, Lin tapped a control on her wrist console. The chamber's central display flickered. Star charts vanished. In their place, blackness. Space. Then, movement. From the void emerged a shape. Enormous. Angular. Unfamiliar. Its hull was midnight black, its surface covered in strange, glowing runes. A dreadnought, but not of any known design. It was followed by another. And another. Delegates leaned forward. Some narrowed their eyes, trying to identify the ships. None succeeded. "This," Lin said, "is the UNS Nemesis. First of the Nemesis-class war carriers. One of 12 currently deployed in Terran defense sectors." Murmurs erupted. 12? No one had even heard of one. The feed changed. Now the ships were shown in formation, an entire armada of black vessels, each unique in design but unified by a terrifying aesthetic. Sleek destroyers. Cloaked frigates. Massive carriers. Orbital artillery platforms. And something else, small, darting craft that vanished from sensors mid-flight, only to reappear behind enemy targets. A delegate from the Orovine Alliance stood, voice trembling. "These ships, they're not registered. They are not on the books." Lin smiled faintly. "No, we didn't register them. We didn't advertise them. And we certainly didn't build them for show." The Varkun warlord was furious. "This is deception. A violation of every treaty. You hid a fleet." Lin nodded. "Yes, we did. Because while you were measuring our weakness, we were preparing for this moment. Then came the second feed. Live footage. A Varkan patrol group near the disputed border. 5 cruisers, 1 battleship. Their weapons were armed but their posture relaxed. After all, they were the dominant force. No human fleet could threaten them. Until the shadows moved. Out of the darkness, human warships phased in. Not with the bright flare of conventional warp drives, but in total silence. No heat spike. No hyperspace trail. Just appearance. The first volley came from nowhere. Invisible beams tore through shields as if they weren't there. Varkan armor cracked like glass. In seconds, the patrol was reduced to fire and wreckage. The council chamber watched the destruction in real time. A fleet, an entire fleet, destroyed in under a minute. Silence. Total, deafening silence. Lin spoke again softly. We asked for peace. We signed your treaties. We joined your council. But we also watched. And we learned. And we understood that one day someone would come for our homes. She stepped forward. So we built in secret. We built defense. We built deterrence. And if you continue to treat us as prey, then yes, we will also build war. The speaker was pale. You've upset the balance. Lin turned toward the Varkan delegation. No. We just corrected it. Outside the chamber, alarms began to sound. Dozens, no hundreds, of unidentified vessels had appeared near the core world. All human. All Black Fleet. Their presence was deliberate, calculated. A warning. No weapons fired. No targets locked. But the message was clear. You underestimated us. The council was in chaos. Ancient alliances trembled. Empires re-evaluated their entire defense postures in seconds. And the Varkan Dominion? They tried to retaliate. They launched a counterattack at a Terran frontier colony. A full battle group. It never arrived. Mid-jump they were intercepted. Human stealth interceptors, small, impossibly fast ships, ambushed them inside hyperspace itself. Something the Council had always believed impossible. The Varkan ships never exited their jump corridor. The galaxy watched. And for the first time, the question was no longer, can humanity survive? Was, who else has been hiding claws this sharp? From that day forward, the Council treated the Terran Union not as an upstart child, but as a peer. A dangerous, brilliant, unpredictable peer. The war had begun, not yet across every front but in every mind. Old empires started mobilizing. Treaties were rewritten. Secrets were questioned. And humanity? They simply returned to their colonies. To their silent, unregistered shipyards. To their hidden fleets still cloaked in the dark. Because the Black Fleet was only the beginning. The Galactic Council met in its great chamber on Core Prime, a structure so vast it could house cities within its walls. Delegates from 500 empires filled their seats, their banners shimmering overhead in holographic display. The day's agenda was routine: trade tariffs, border skirmishes, mining rights. The kind of politics that dragged on for centuries. Few expected anything unusual. Humanity's delegation sat near the outer ring, a small contingent easily overlooked. The humans were newcomers, less than a century in the Council and considered harmless. Their fleets were laughably small, their colonies scattered. Many empires saw them as useful for trade and little else. But not everyone underestimated them. The Drath Syndicate, a sprawling cartel of warlords and slavers, had long whispered of strange human movements. They claimed to have seen phantom ships near Sol. Sensor echoes. Energy readings that made no sense. Most dismissed the reports as paranoia. But the Drath pressed their accusations with venom. That day they brought it before the Council. The Drath delegate rose, a towering creature clad in obsidian armor, its voice a rasp of knives. These humans are liars, it snarled. They pretend weakness but in the dark they build fleets. Hidden fleets. Illegal fleets. We demand their immediate disarmament. The chamber chuckled. Weak little humans? Secret fleets? Impossible. The speaker waved a hand. Drath, your theatrics are well known. Unless you provide proof. The Drath delegate's eyes flared. We have proof. A holofeed activated. Grainy images filled the chamber. Massive energy spikes in the Sol system, movement patterns unlike any registered ship. Glimpses of vast silhouettes before sensors cut out. The chamber grew restless. Whispers. Speculation. Could it be real? Then all eyes turned to the human delegate. Ambassador Kalen stood slowly. He was not tall, not imposing. Just a man in a dark uniform, his face unreadable. And he did not deny it. Yes, he said simply. The chamber erupted. Shouts. Accusations. Outrage. Yes, Kalen repeated, his voice steady. We built them. Because we knew this day would come. The speaker slammed his gavel. Outrageous. You admit to violating council law? Kalen's eyes swept the chamber. Law, he said softly. Tell me, when the Zarathi enslaved 3 races, where was your law? When the Drath burned colonies on the rim, where was your law? When the Varkan took worlds that begged for aid, where was it then? We learned quickly that the council protects only those with fleets large enough to demand it. So we built ours. The Drath delegate hissed. Bluster. Was. You cannot hide fleets of such scale. Kalen touched his wrist console. The chamber darkened. And above them, the ceiling hologram shifted. Not abstract data. Not grainy sensor feeds. Live footage. The core world sky. Hundreds of ships hung above it, blotting out the stars. Human ships. They were enormous, black, angular, bristling with weapons unlike anything catalogued. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive cloaks, revealing only jagged silhouettes as they hovered in perfect formation. The chamber fell silent. Kalen's voice was calm. We never claimed to be helpless. You chose to believe it. Panic rippled through the delegates. Some screamed for retaliation, others for negotiation. But before consensus could form, the Drath acted. Their fleets, already orbiting nearby, fired. Streams of plasma and torpedoes cut through space toward the human armada. The Black Fleet moved as one. Not shields, not evasions. They struck. Lances of pale light sliced through Drath warships as if cutting paper. Rail slugs the size of buildings punched clean through cruisers, splitting them apart. Stealth craft flickered into existence within Drath formations, unleashing storms of kinetic fire before vanishing again. The Drath fleet lasted 7 minutes. 7 minutes, and then it was wreckage, burning hulks falling toward Core Prime's defense perimeter. The Council watched in stunned horror. One of their great powers, shredded like nothing. Kalen stood unmoved. You wanted proof, he said. Now you have it. The speaker stammered. You've brought war to this chamber. Kalen shook his head. No. The Drath fired first. We merely responded. But the damage was done. The chamber was in chaos. Empires shouted over one another. Some demanded sanctions. Others screamed for humanity's destruction. Yet others whispered of alliances, of opportunities. For the first time in millennia, the Council's order had fractured. Outside, the Black Fleet hovered silently, engines humming like a predator waiting for its prey. The Drath Syndicate's banner flickered in the chamber, signaling retreat. Their delegation fled in disgrace. Their fleets were gone. Their empire vulnerable. But the greater shock remained. Humanity had hidden fleets vast enough to challenge the ancient powers, and win. Kalen gave his final words before departing. You thought us fragile because we did not bare our claws. But Earth has always known war. Always prepared for it. We hope never to use this strength. But if forced, we will not hesitate. This council can adapt to reality, or it can burn with those who defy it. And then he left the chamber. Outside, the Black Fleet broke orbit and vanished into the void, slipping away like shadows. The council sat in silence, the echo of his words heavy in the air. That day marked the end of the old order. No one laughed at humanity again. The catalyst of war had been struck, not with declarations, but with the revelation of power hidden in plain sight. The galaxy would never be the same. Because now, every empire asked itself the same question. If the humans could hide this, what else lurked unseen waiting for the right moment? And across the stars, fleets began to mobilize. Alliances fractured. Wars flared. The galaxy trembled on the edge of chaos. All because one small race had smiled, kept its secrets, and waited until the day came to reveal them. The day when humanity showed its true face. And war began.